Hey guys, I'm Andy Fogarty from theathomewelder.com. I'm here for kingmetals.com, and you are watching part 2 of this cool gate building project. So we got this design straight out of the King Metals Design Concepts catalog, ordered all the pieces and components, had it delivered straight to our door, and now we're putting it together. Now if you missed the first episode in this series, go check it out, and I'll show you several different ways to build a square frame to make sure that it's square. Now whether you have jigs or you don't have jigs, or all you have is an uneven surface and a tape measure, I'm going to show you how to make a square frame. So go check that out if you haven't already, but if you have, let's go ahead and start putting these components together. Now it doesn't matter if you order something from King or you order something from, whatever other vendors you get from, all components, because of their nature, because of how they're made, they're not going to be completely 100% identical. Now this is just the way it is. It's something you're always going to have to deal with, but it can create some issues for you to have to work around when you're designing this. Now when we look at our design in the concepts catalog, everything fits together, it's beautiful. It's because it's been designed there on a computer screen and printed out. But in real life, things are a little bit different, right? So this is why we're going to lay out our project. So I'm going to lay out my pieces here according to my design. Now one thing I want to mention before we start putting this together is when you're ordering components like this, they're always going to have some sort of little tack welds on them, especially these forged pieces like this. Now that's great, but they're usually not going to have those tack welds on both sides. They usually just have them on one because they're done very quickly in an assembly line type fashion. It's really just to hold them together, keep them from jiggling around. Now, that's fine, nothing wrong with that, but it's a personal pet peeve of mine when you're putting together a project like this and you don't have all of these spot welds on one side. It's kind of mismatched throughout the gate in the design, because I like to look at welds, especially in decorative projects like this, as part of the design. You want them to be clean, and because they're going to be visible whether they're painted or not. You might as well make it all uniform. So I like to make sure that all my tack welds are on the same side. I'm going to put this together here, flip this over, get my tack welds on the same side. So I'm going to put my components in place just how they are in the catalog. So I'll show you what happens. And here we go. So you can see right away we have a problem here. We have a big gap in between my frame and my components here, which if I looked at the catalog design, there's not supposed to be one. It's supposed to all fit flush. Now, my measurements are absolutely the same as shown in the Design Concepts catalog. Now, that's not a fault of anyone. It's just, like I said, these things generally aren't made uniform. So in order for us to make this gate work, we're going to have to make some changes. We're going to have to make some spacing. Now, I'm okay with spacing these out. That's fine. It's not going to change the overall look of the gate, but it's just something that I'm going to have to face. Now, I'm just kind of eyeballing these and spreading them out a little bit, but you're definitely going to want to pull some more exact measurements so you can get your spacing even. All right, so I've spaced these out a little bit. Now I'm going to put my bar in. Now the Design Concepts catalog actually calls for this to be a solid square bar, but I actually switched it to tube because it cuts down on the weight and it makes absolutely no difference structurally in the design. All right, so I can see that lengthwise all my components are actually the same, which is fantastic. So no adjustments need to be made there, just the width of them, which is fine. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do the bottom and work my way up. So I'm going to put in my other components just like these that are identical on the bottom and kind of work my way into the middle, and I'll show you why in just a second. When I ordered these components, what I noticed is you can see there is a clear difference here in length on either side. Now this is pretty much how all pickets come standard, just based on, usually if you think these are going on a stairwell, they're going to be diagonal, you're going to have to cut these a little bit different depending on the angle of your stairwell. That's why all of these baluster components like this are made like this with one side longer. So I have a big middle component. I'm going to go ahead and center that up in the middle and put that in the middle and work my way out with these smaller pieces. Just easier way to figure out the measurements that way. So, and this is kind of a hefty piece. I'm going to go ahead and set this in there and see just what the difference is. So I've got a clear difference here. I can't just set this in and say, okay, this is going to be it, and I'm going to make these the same size. Unfortunately, it's not that easy. All right, so I can measure my inside space here, and I've got 35 inches. So half of 35 is what, 17 and a half? So 17 and a half is going to be my center mark. So if I put this on here, you can see this is actually where my center line is, and since this needs to be centered, clearly that's not going to work. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move my piece up a little bit. And now you can see why I wanted to do these outside pieces, panels first, is so I could just easily set these center things down on top because these pickets are longer. It would have been really difficult for me to figure out the centering and really how everything needed to be spaced if I didn't have it all laid out. So we've got this laid out here. I'm going to just pull my quick measurements here and we'll come up just a little bit more. That's pretty doggone close. Okay, now I'm just going to check my distance here since I kind of eyeballed it. We're 46, so half of 46 is going to be 23. Oh my goodness, look at that. That's like, that's almost right on the money. That's perfect. Okay, so I'm going to leave this here, and I'm going to do the same thing with my outer pickets. I'm just kind of eyeballing this here because I have these nice swirls kind of line up nicely with these baskets on this picket. So I'm kind of eyeballing it there. You don't have to worry about pulling tape all the time because a lot of times on these designs, since a lot of this stuff has been put together by hand, there are, like I spoke about earlier with the differences in the foundry design and a computer design, there's little nuances, some of these curves are a little off. So using a tape measure on every bit of this doesn't really work. It's a lot easier to eye something because when you hang something up, whether you pulled tape measurements or not, if something looks funky from your eyes, then the customer's not going to like it. So we're going to kind of eyeball this here. I think that looks pretty good. And now I'm going to take my other picket, line that up here. It's going to be the same, about the same. Now you can see there's going to be some interesting things to deal with here. There's not even spaces between these pickets, so you can't really go off of that because these are going to be closer together than the spacing is on these, obviously. But what you can do is just eyeball this and kind of see what is good, what looks good. All right, that to me looks really, really good. And really what I want to do is just make sure that my outer picket here, since it's very close to the frame, I want to make sure that my distance from the frame to this picket is definitely the same. That's going to be the first thing that you notice, is if it's not the same. So that is looking square to me. And then I'm just going to take this measurement and kind of see if we can get that the same there and see what that looks like. Woo! That looks good. So we have even spacing on these pickets since they're uniform, and I know that there's nothing I can do with these pickets, so these are fine. And I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side with these pickets. Now what I'm going to do, after I have all this laid out and spaced together the way that I want it, I'm just going to take a Sharpie and I'm going to draw little lines where this is laying on top. So that's where I know where to cut. So that's another reason why I like building on the outside and putting this in. Now, of course, that process is going to change depending on the design that you're working with. I couldn't find my Sharpie, so I'm actually just going to use some soapstone. All right, we have all of our pieces marked and ready to be cut. So now all we got to do is cut them and start welding this thing together. So for cutting, obviously you can cut them however you want or whatever you have access to. For me, I'm just going to use my angle grinder with a cutoff wheel and just zip right through these things. All right, so we just finished cutting up our pickets. Now all we got to do is start welding this gate together. We're going to do that in the next video of this series. We're also in that video, we're going to be showing you how to use a very unique gate latch system that is just beautiful. And I want to show you how to add this to not only this gate, but you can add it to any gate that's going to make it look really cool. Now we're going to show you all that cool stuff in the next video of this series, so make sure that you go check that out. I'm pretty excited about the welding that we're going to be doing there. So that's it for this episode. I'm Andy Fogarty for the AtHomeWelder.com, and I'm here for KingMetals.com. And remember, go to King Metals, check out the Design Concepts catalog. That's where we got this design from. Super cool and completely free. I highly recommend getting that book. Very cool stuff. That's it. I'm Andy Fogarty, and I'll see you in the next video.